Hello guys, welcome back to our channel Planet for Tech. I hope you all are doing great and learning lots by watching all the continuous episode of the series Python Beginner to Master. So guys, till now we have completed 10 episodes of this series and today in this 11th episode I am going to describe you the next part of Python data structure, that is tuple. So let's start. In the previous episode, we have seen about the list. So the tuple is almost similar to that list, but there are certain differences which tuple is having. It is in regards to modifying the tuple elements. So that we are going to discuss in a brief. Let's start. So the first point is, what is tuple? So tuple is also a collection of elements of different data type. So on the basis of the definition, you can say list and tuple both are same because list also allow to have multiple different data types in a single collection. In the same way, tuple is doing the same here. But there is a difference. There is a difference in their behavior. What the difference is, in I can see tuple and a list is that lists are mutable. What this means mutable and immutable. So this is the two terminology basically being used in terms of data type. So when we say something is mutable, it means we can change its value as per our need, but immutable means we are not allowed to change the value. If we are changing it, so it will give us the error. Otherwise, we have to change it by other approach. Directly, we cannot change its value. So this is the meaning of mutable and immutable. So guys, you have to make a note here. The tuple and list both are almost similar. Only the difference is tuple is immutable and the list is mutable. Now let's see how we can create the tuple here. So guys, in a previous episode we have seen to create the list we use the square bracket, but to create the tuple we use this braces. So this one basically we use to create the tuple. So this is also one of the difference in terms of their syntax. So in tuple we use this bracket, but in list we use the square bracket. Now let me show you its type, whether it is tuple or not. So to check the type, we use the type method and int pass here. So see the output here. You can see it is showing tuple. So and if you are going to make it a square bracket, so it will become again the list. You can see it is showing the list. So this is the syntax difference. So to create the tuple, you need this braces, but for list you need a square bracket. So this way we can create the tuples. And here one note we have to make, like we can create the list with the single element. Let me show you here. Let's suppose L or B you can say. So this is allowed. We can create, sorry, this is allowed because we can create the list with the single element, but we can't create the tuple with a single element. Let me show you the example. So if I'm going to create a tuple with a single element like that, so this way, so it is not going to be considered as tuple. It is going to be considered as primitive data type, whether integer, string, else. Let me show you here. You can see here it is showing as a int. However, we have considered it as a tuple. So how we can create the tuple with a single element? So for that, you have to pass one comma there. So with the help of this comma, you can create the tuple with a single element as well. Now let's see the output. So here you can see it becomes the tuple. So this is the one small difference you have to take care about this. So we can create the list with a single element, but tuple For that tuple, we need to use comma at the end. So this is about the creating the tuple. Now comes to the point accessing the tuples. So to access the tuple, we use the same kind of indexing like we have done in the listing. So there were positive indexing and negative indexing as well. So that's same indexing we can use here for tuple. Let's see by one example. Let's suppose we have one tuple here like this, and you want to access its first element. So how we can do that? Sorry, we want to access its first element. So 0 into pass. You can see here. So in the same way, the same indexing you have to use for the last element -1. So this way you can see it is showing the 7 here. So the indexing for list and tuple both are same. Now let's talk about the next point. So the next point is reassigning and deleting the elements. Reassigning, or you can say modifying. So there in this is the place where tuples is different as compared to list. In case of list, it is allowed to delete the element and it is allowed to modify the existing element. But in case of tuple, it is not allowed. Why this is? This is because of the use of ID. What this ID is? So let's take an example here. So suppose we have one list like this here, 1, 2, 3, and 5, and you want to delete a few element like A 0. So this is possible. But in case of list, this is possible. In case of tuple, this is not possible. Let me show you. If I am going to make it tuple like this. So this is not allowed. This is because when we are deleting something from tuple, this is internally considered as we are modifying the tuple structure. So that modifying nature is not available in the tuple because tuple is completely immutable. So immutable means we are not allowed to change or we are not allowed to modify or delete the existing structure or element of the data structure. So that is why tuples are not allowed to update their values. So let's see the example of this. Here we have just deleted the first element. So definitely it should give an error. Let me show you. You can say here, tuple object does not support item deletion. Why this is? Because the tuple is what? Immutable. This is what we have already understood. But in case of list, it is possible. Let me show you. This time it will not give you the error. You can see it is not giving the error. So lists are mutable, that is why we can delete its element, but tuples are not because it is immutable. In the same way, we cannot change the value of tuples as well. We cannot modify. Let's see here, like in case of list, we can change its value. If we want to change A0 equals to 10, so this is possible in case of list. Why? Because the lists are mutable. Mutable means we can change the value. You can see here the first element becomes 10. So this is possible in case of list. But what about in case of tuple? So let me show you the same here. So if I am going to make this as a tuple, so it is not possible. Why? Because the tuple is immutable. You have to make a note about this. Immutable means we are not allowed to change. Let me show you. You can see here, tuple does not support item assignment. So we cannot assign the element to the tuple. This is because this tuple is immutable. Now come to the next point. So the next approach is if you want to change the if you want to update the tuple elements, then how it is possible? So for that we have to follow one process. What is that process? Firstly, you have to convert the tuple into list. Then after you have to apply the changes to the list. Then again back to you have to convert that back to tuple. So this way we can do the changes in the tuple element as well. Let me show you here. So you can see here. So this is a tuple right now. So in this the changes are not allowed. Let me show you again. Changes are not allowed. So let's suppose what we have to do. First of all, we have to convert into list. We are going to convert into list. How we can do that? So A equals to, we have to use typecasting, list of A. So this way we just converted the type tuple from tuple to list. I can show you here. So let's see the type. So this time you are going to get the list instead of tuple. You can see it is showing the list. Now once this is converted, then what we have to do? Apply modification. So this modification we have applied, and the third step is convert back the list to tuple. So this way you can apply the changes. So to convert it back, we again need to typecasting A equals to tuple and A, like that. So this way you can change. Let me show you. The first element is 1 in the tuple, but after the modification it will be 10. You can see here 10 3 5. So this way guys, if you want to change the tuple element, so this process you have to follow. First of all, you have to convert the tuple into list, then after apply the changes, and then again convert back to the tuple. Now the next concept comes tuple packing and unpacking. What this packing and unpacking is? So the packing terms means we are going to pack all the elements in a form of tuple. So how we can do that? So let's suppose we have this series of number 1 3 5. So these are by default tuple. Let me show you. Sorry, we want these elements to pack as a tuple. So how we can do that? Let me show you. Print type of A. So you can see here by default it is a tuple. So this way also we can assign the value to the tuple. We can create the value, we can create the tuple this way also. So this is called as packing. So here what we are doing, we are packing these three elements into a tuple. Now what about the unpacking? Let's suppose we have another three value x comma y comma z, and we are assigning this like this. So here what we are doing, here we are just unpacking. Means again we are going to unpack the element of tuple A into x, y and z. So what will be the value of x? X is will be the value of first element. The first element of tuple is what? 1. And the y. Y is the second element 3. And z equals to the third element, that is 5. So this way we can expect the output here. Now let me show you one by one. So print x, so it should give you 1. You can see here in the similar way, if you want to print y, so it will give you 3. So this way the concept is packing and unpacking the tuple elements. Now let's see another concept. So the another point is here built-in function of Python. So all the functions which are available for tuples or which are available for list we can use in a tuple as well, but you have to take care and remember it. The functions which are used to modify the list, like the append and the pop function. So these functions and remove function, these functions we are not allowed to use in a tuple, because when you use this function, so definitely it will either add some value to the tuple or it will remove the value from tuple, and by doing so we are changing the structure of tuple. So that is not supposed to do in tuple, because tuple is what, immutable. So this point you have to recall every time. Tuple is immutable and list is mutable. So in the list we can change whatever we want, but in tuple it is not allowed in a straightforward. However, we can do it by applying the process I have shown you. We have to convert tuple into list and back to tuple again. But other function like len and index, this we can use, because len is used just to show the size of the tuple and index is used just to get the particular elements position. So this way we have understood the tuples in this episode. But in the next episode, I am going to describe you the next awesome data structure, built-in data structure of Python, that is the dictionary. So there we are going to understand about dictionary and sets. So I will try to complete both dictionary and set in a single episode. If not, then I will create another episode for that. So if you like this video, so don't forget to share it among your friends. And if you are new to this channel, so please subscribe it and press the bell icon to get the latest notification of our upcoming videos. Thank you guys. Thank you so much.